Shripad Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Ashtadhita Shishimad Abhacharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani ki Bhuvan Mangal Harinam Sankirtan ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki Nitai Sitanath Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachara Nirvishesha Pasha Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 28. But today we are supposed to do text 54, right? That's 53 on the board.
Is it?
Yeah. So, do you have phones with you? No. Okay. Then we do without repetition. Narayana namaskrityam naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhakti mashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So chapter 28, text 54 of Canto 4. At least you can repeat the words after me. Hamsa, aham, cha, tvam, charya, sakhayo, manasayano, abhutam, antara, vaukaha, sahasra, parivatsaran. So we try if you can also repeat it, the whole line. Hamsavaham chatvam charya.
Hamsavatam vacharya.
Sakhayo manasayano. Sakhayo manasayano. Abhutamantara vaukaha. Abhutamantara vaukaha. Sahasra parivatsaran. Sahasra parivatsaran. So the word by word translation. Hamsa, two swans. Aham, I. Cha, and. Tvam, you. Cha, also. Arya, O great soul. Sakhayo, friends. Manasa ayanao, together in the Manasa lake. Abhutam, became. Antara, separated. Va, indeed. Okaha, from the original home. Sahasra, thousands. Pari, successively. Vatsaran, years. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, Abhacharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. So the translation reads as follows. My dear gentle friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart, which is just like the Manasa lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home. Please repeat after me. My dear gentle friend.
My dear gentle friend.
Both you and I are exactly like two swans.
Both you and I are exactly like two swans.
We live together in the same heart.
We live together in the same heart.
Which is just like the Manasa lake.
Which is just like Manasa lake.
Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home.
We are still far away from our original home.
Purport. The original home of the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, both the Lord and the living entities live together very peacefully. Since the living entity remains engaged in the service of the Lord, they both share a blissful life in the spiritual world. However, when the living entity wants to enjoy himself, he falls down into the material world. Even while he is in that position, the Lord remains with him as the Supersoul, his intimate friend. Because of his forgetfulness, the living entity does not know the Supreme Lord is accompanying him as the Supersoul. In this way, the living entity remains conditioned in each and every millennium. Although the Lord follows him as a dear friend, the living entity, because of forgetful material existence, does not recognize him. Om Jnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatharine Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktyavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Padamam Vande Shri Guru Dharanam Paramanandavanam Shri Chaitanya. So the text and translation once again. Hamsa vaham cha tvam charya sakhaya mana sayana abhudamantara vaukaha sahasra parivatsara. Translation. My dear gentle friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart, which is just like the Manasa lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for being here and relishing the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. And before I begin to speak further, I would request the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and senior devotees so that I may be able to execute this devotional service primarily for my own purification. So a very beautiful verse. Of course, at the outset it seems that it's something very usual, right? Something we've heard so many times, that Super Soul is our best friend, we have fallen down, we are supposed to be in the spiritual world. But when I read the purport, I found it very beautiful that, because the description here, as we go through the chapter, we know, of course, the allegorical story that Narada Muni narrates this allegorical story to King Prachina Barhi. And first it was the story of Puranjana, the city of 9 gates. And of course, who is this Puranjana? Of course, in this story, Narada Muni is trying to indicate that this is King Prachina Barhi. But Prabhupada time and again in his purport says how this Puranjana is actually us, each of us. So first there was a description of Puranjana in the city of 9 gates. And now we have the story of Vaidarbhi. And Vaidarbhi, who is actually married to a very Krishna-conscious king. And now this is her story of how when the king departs, she enters into the funeral pyre, or this is the topic that is highlighted here. And also there is this very beautiful text 49, how when the spiritual master passes away, the disciple should be as bereaved as a devoted wife becomes afflicted with pain at the passing of her husband. And a few verses ago, in text 52, we were also hearing about the Brahmana who comes to this Vaidarbhi, and he says, "Why are you lamenting for this dead body? Don't you recognize me? I am your eternal friend. And in the past you have consulted me so many times." And therefore the Brahmana, which is here, further continuing how he is the eternal intimate friend, and how Vaidarbhi has given up the company of such a good friend and accepted a position of the enjoyer. And who is this Brahmana who is speaking to Queen Vaidarbhi? It's the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, it's Krishna himself, or the spiritual master. It is said that Krishna manifested without is the spiritual master. So also in Canto 4 we have the story of Dhruva Maharaj towards much further ahead. And Dhruva Maharaj, when he goes into the forest and performs these austerities, and then eventually he meets Narada Muni, then Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that upon the sincerity or sincere desire of a disciple, Krishna manifests outside in the form of the spiritual master. So, in a way, that's why we say Sakshadharitvena Shamasa Shastra. We say the spiritual master is actually non-different. He is Krishna himself, or the representative of Krishna. And therefore, when we talk about the eternal friend means both the super soul, Paramatma, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, we know this verse, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdati. So basically, the Lord manifests in different forms, and one of the form is as Paramatma. So the Lord, when manifested outside, the Paramatma, when manifested outside or without, is the spiritual master. And of course, Prabhupada also tells us to be careful. Although we do recognize the spiritual master as being non-different from Krishna himself, there is the distinction that the spiritual master, of course we as disciples may revere the spiritual master as being non-different from Krishna. But what does the spiritual master think? That he is the servant of Krishna. The spiritual master, therefore, is the most confidential servant of Krishna. And in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Lila chapter, between chapter 19 to 22, there is his description of how Sanatana Goswami is listening to Lord Chaitanya. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes how Sanatana Goswami, spending so much time with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also begins to think and look like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So similarly, the spiritual master, always in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a sense. So to come back to today's purport, there are three very enlivening points. First is how the Paramatma is the eternal best friends. And here there is an analogy given of two swans, which we will return to. The second very significant point made by Srila Prabhupada in the purport is how we have fallen down in the material world because we wanted to enjoy ourselves. And because of this forgetfulness of Krishna, we are here in this material world. And lastly, the fact that although we may try very hard to enjoy in this material existence, it will only lead to disappointment. And our eternal home is actually waiting for us. Am I too fast or is it okay? It's okay? So if I am fast, you can please let me know. So these are the three significant points made by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. And we have this analogy of two swans. And can someone remember a similar analogy that is used in the Bhagavad Gita to describe Paramatma and Atma? Yes, Jamuna?
The two birds sitting in a tree.
Yes. So two birds sitting in a tree. One is the Atma or self, which is us, the Jiva, and the other is the Paramatma, Super Soul, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is the difference between the two birds? Anybody else?
One just eats fruits and another looking for this bird.
Yes. So one bird is busy enjoying the fruits which are on the tree, and the other accompanying bird is looking at this bird or witnessing this bird. So any guesses who is who? Shane?
So we are the ones eating the fruits?
Yes, we are trying to enjoy the fruits. Trying, yes.
Paramatma is that one looking.
Witnessing, yes. The Paramatma is the one witnessing. So this is the dilemma, that although we have our ever well-wisher, our best friend, we look away trying to enjoy elsewhere. And it is very, actually, if you look at this painting that is there in our temple hall, it is the painting of Gopakumar and Krishna embracing each other. And it's a very beautiful story actually of the Jiva. Anybody doesn't know the story, then we can discuss. Okay, very nice. So in Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita is compiled by Sanatana Goswami. And it is a narrative that he gives through his realizations. And Brihad Bhagavatamrita has two parts. One part describes how Narada Muni is looking for the best devotee of Krishna. So Narada Muni goes to Shiva, Prahlad Maharaj, Lakshmi Devi, everybody. And then eventually he comes to the conclusion of how the residents of Rajan, primarily Srimati Radharani, is the best devotee, and so on. So there are different considerations. And then the next part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the story of Gopakumar. And if you read the story of Gopakumar, and of course I must also mention that Srimad Bhagavatam that we have every day is what? 45 minutes? And this 45 minutes is not all the reading and hearing we should have. So what we discuss here, we can always take it home, and in our day, we can explore the subject matter. For example, now, today you can go and look up what is Srimad Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And who is Gopakumar? So we will only discuss a snippet of Gopakumar's story. So Gopakumar was a young cowherd boy, originally of Vrindavan, but then he took birth in Bhauma Vrindavan. And then it's a story, basically something that resonates also for us jivas, because originally we were also with Krishna and now we are here. And the story of Gopakumar describes how Gopakumar was, due to his forgetfulness of Krishna, he was hankering for something. And he didn't exactly quite know what is this something, isn't it? Sometimes we feel something is missing in life. And we think maybe it's a boyfriend, maybe it's a girlfriend, maybe it's more money, maybe it's this food, maybe it's a better house. So Gopakumar had a similar experience where he was missing something. And then he met a spiritual master. He was an Avaduta. And this Avaduta began to tell him the story of spiritual realizations. And he gave him something called the Gopal mantra. So it's a very sacred, secret mantra. And upon a certain kind of initiation, you might have this, you are given this mantra by the spiritual master. But the Gopal mantra is very potent, and the spiritual master then asked Gopakumar to start chanting this mantra. So Gopakumar, being a simple boy, he started chanting this mantra. And then he experienced so much prowess through simply chanting this mantra. And the story of Gopakumar describes that he wanted to, he was not satisfied with how the worship was happening around him of the deities, so he wanted to go to a place where deities are properly worshipped. So then, and Prasadam is respected, so then he was sent to Jagannath Puri. And then he got elevated to Indraloka, and Indra ran away, so he became the next Indra. And then he went to Brahmaloka, Brahma ran away, so he became the next Brahma. So he had all these experiences. Now, of course, I read the story of Gopakumar long ago, so maybe I make little mistakes. But the essence is that Gopakumar was going through all these experiences. Wherever he went, fame and glory was following him. And he was, what was he doing? He was simply chanting the mantra. And eventually, what did he find? He found that he was, having these, so to say, opulences, but he was utterly dissatisfied because something was still missing. And at some point, he also considered not chanting the mantra as much. And then his spiritual master said, no, you have to continue chanting. So this also shows how actually the process of chanting of the Lord's name is both the means and the end. You understand? That you have to chant the holy name to reach the association of God. But what do you do in the association of God? You chant the holy name. So it is both, the destination and the journey. The holy name, the chanting of this Mahamantra. So this is the experience of Gopakumar, that he was traversing and having all these experiences and feeling so much power through the chanting of the holy name. But still, until and unless he reached Vrindavan. So at some point, he reached Vrindavan. And once I was listening to this lecture of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and he very beautifully describes that when Gopakumar reached Nanda Maharaj's Angan, or the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, he was looking for Krishna because he knew this is my eternal best friend. And he was looking very desperately for Krishna. But the house was kind of empty. And then he became worried that he put in all this effort to meet Krishna, and where is Krishna? So he asked the other people. And the other people, they were so busy that they kind of didn't bother somebody asking them something. They were so absorbed in service. But then eventually he found out that Krishna has actually gone to herd the cows. And then during dusk he will return. And the description is that the sun was therefore setting soon, and the dusk, so there was this orange pinkish sky. And Gopakumar notices how all the people suddenly started looking in one direction. And then he also realized, okay, he also has to look there. And when he looked in that direction, the first thing he saw, first thing he heard was the giggling of young boys. And the next thing Gopakumar saw was dust flying in the air. And then he hears the mooing of the cows. And then he sees the young boys with calves and cows coming home. So Krishna is coming home after herding cows the whole day. He's coming back to Nanda Maharaj's house, his home. So this is such a beautiful sight, because sometimes we also have very beautiful sunset. And every time I look at the sunset, I think of this story, actually. When you have this beautiful pink and orange sky, you can always think of how this is what, something like this Gopakumar saw, something even more beautiful. He saw this, and he saw this dust rising in the sky. And then gradually, you can totally close your eyes and imagine. There are cows, he sees cows, he hears laughter of young boys. Then he sees these beautiful young boys. Some of them have dust smeared on their body. Some of them, their dhoti is loose because they've been running after cows the whole days. Some of them are being pushed by the cows. So this is how they are approaching Vrindavan, coming into the village, approaching the house of Nanda Maharaj. And then, as they come closer and closer, in between, in the middle, Gopakumar then witnesses a bluish form, a bluish young boy who has a flute tucked in his waist. He's wearing a yellow dhoti, curly dark hair, bright doe-like eyes, pinkish hands. And he sees Krishna with his arms around Balaram and laughing and giggling and joking with the other young boys, and with one of his hand on the cows, and gradually walking towards his home. And what a beautiful sight, as you can imagine. And Balaram is also there in his beautiful whitish hue, wearing a blue dhoti, looking very serene. And as they come closer and closer to Nanda Maharaj's house, and in front we have Gopakumar who's standing there, and then Lord Krishna glances at Gopakumar, and he's so happy. He's surprised and he's so happy. So Krishna runs towards Gopakumar, and immediately, as soon as he embraces Gopakumar, he faints. He lies down, he's fallen onto the ground unconscious. And Krishna's beautiful body falls just like that, drops on the dust, and there is like poof, dust that flies away, and Krishna's beautiful body now has dust on it. And all the Vrajavasis, they become worried that this random strange boy, he's here, and now Krishna is unconscious. And they got worried because these demons came to attack and harm Krishna. And they thought, okay, so now this boy is also coming here to attack Krishna in some way. And then they were really becoming anxious towards Gopakumar. And then Lord Balaram said, no, he's a very good old friend. Why? Because he's coming from Goloka Vrindavan. He just got lost. And after many years, he's come back. And Lord Balaram then encouraged Gopakumar to wake up Krishna. Actually, Gopakumar also fainted. And Lord Balaram then whispered in his ears, Krishna, Krishna. And Gopakumar got up. And then Gopakumar had to wake up Krishna, because now Krishna is lying unconscious. So he also whispered in Krishna's ear, Krishna, Krishna. And Krishna woke up. And again he embraced Gopakumar. Even before he could get up, he embraced Gopakumar, because he was missing him so much. And then Krishna said, Gopakumar, my dear friend, I was waiting for you for so long. Where have you been? I was waiting for so long. Where have you been? And then Gopakumar just looked down because he didn't know what to say. And then Krishna said, never mind, now that you are here, let's go. And then Krishna put his arm around Gopakumar's shoulder, and then both of them together walked into Nanda Maharaj's house. And then, of course, all the other cowherd boys, some of them went home, some of them just sat there because Krishna is gone, they don't know what to do. The cows also sat there, some deers were there, they sat, and some of the residents also were waiting. Some of them even waited till the next night, So while everybody was just waiting, Gopakumar walked into the palace of Nanda Maharaj with Lord Krishna. So it's a very beautiful description in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and you can definitely explore. But what really touches my heart is actually this is our story, in a way. Because we have been so far away from Krishna, and at least I can speak for myself, that although Maya is doing her work very nicely and letting me know that I cannot enjoy in this material world, I'm trying so hard again and again and again. And Prabhupada gives this analogy of how a camel chews on thorn, you know, and then what happens if you chew on thorn? There's blood. It drinks its own blood and thinks, wow, thorns are so tasty. You know, like Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gauratai ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So, drinking its own blood, the camel is thinking, wow, so tasty. The thorns are so tasty. But what is it doing? Harming itself. So such is our experience also. And in this verse, Krishna again emphasizes, it's again emphasized by Srila Prabhupada, Krishna says, I am your best friend. You know, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Mahesh Suhridam. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita it is said Suhridam. So there are 3 categories of friendship, and the best is the Suhridam, Suhrid. And Suhrid means the most ever well-wisher that you can ever have. So the Lord is actually the only thing we need in our lives, our only best friend. But we are forgetful of this fact. And one can ask, you know, okay, but at what point did we forget? If we are so much in love and he's such a good friend, why did we forget? You know, it can be asked. But the point is not kind of speculating, oh, why we forgot, when we forgot. The point is we forgot. That's the point. And the point is we have to go back to our eternal home. And sometimes, especially now in the world, we see everybody is so disappointed, you know, like, oh, the world is like this, there is war. But that's a symptom of this material world. It's imperfect. It's a place where we are not supposed to be. We're just not meant to be here. We don't belong here. For example, if you take a fish out of water and you put the fish on a tree, will the tree be happy? No. Will the fish be happy? No. The tree may have apples and all nice fruits, but will the fish be happy? No. Why? Because the fish is meant to be in water. Similarly, our experience is that we are trying so hard, so hard, you know, trying different. And if you see, even if you look back at 50 years, we have made so-called material progress, trying to enjoy more and more. But people are becoming more and more unhappy. The suicide rate is increasing more and more. And therefore, they say simplicity, you know, is bringing the happiness. People where lifestyle is simple, there are these surveys that show how people are more happy there. So now there is a whole movement, we have to lead simply. But we have to realize anything which does not have Krishna in the center, yeah, Gesundheit, and this is actually approved, you know, because it is said that if you sneeze, that means it's the truth. So, yeah, that's the truth, that if we don't have Krishna in the center of anything, that will never bring us happiness. Similarly, if Krishna is not in the center of our interpersonal relationships, it will not bring us happiness. If Krishna is not in the center of our life will not bring us happiness. If Krishna is not in the center of our service attitude, it will not bring us happiness. Because we can make many relationships, we can do a lot of service, but we can still remain unhappy. And sometimes devotees say, but that person did so much service, why is the person unhappy? Why is the person fallen down? Why is the person suddenly from sannyas, now is grihastha? Why? Because Krishna, we forget, has to be in the center. And the most amazing thing is that you cannot think, okay, today I put Krishna in the center and he will always stay there, and we tell Krishna, don't move. It's not like that. Every day we have to choose to be Krishna conscious. Every day we have to choose to put Krishna in the center. Every day we have to chant 16 rounds. Because you can think, okay, one day I fell in love with Krishna, should be enough, right? No, but even in material relationships actually, you need to endeavor every day to keep the love alive. Similarly, although this is the transcendental love that we have with Krishna, we have to keep it alive every day. We have to invest in the relationship every day. Why? Because of our tendency to forget. Because there are 4 imperfections that a human has. And because of our imperfections, Sri Ishopanishad gives us 4 imperfections. Anyone remembers what all?
You have
Imperfect senses, very good. Tendency to cheat, yes.
Illusion.
Tendency to be illusioned or is illusioned, and imperfect sense is done. There's one more.
Cheating and lying.
Cheating is also done. So let's see. Huh? Is cheat, yes. Imperfect senses, tendency to cheat, illusioned, and even I've forgotten. What is the 4th one, Lokapavani? Yes. See, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
That we forget that we make mistakes. But here it is. So you see, forgetfulness is so strong, something you hear all the time but you still forget. Therefore, we have to endeavor in this relationship with Krishna again and again, every day. And here it is described how this relationship is actually established through service. It is said, since the living entity remains engaged in the service of the Lord, they both share a blissful life in the spiritual world. And what is the difference between spiritual world and material world? In the material world, I am the center. In the spiritual world, Krishna is the center. And therefore, if Krishna is in the center, spiritual world, everything rotates around Krishna. People wake up because I have to see Krishna. They brush their teeth because I have to smile when Krishna sees, and I have to have nice teeth so that Krishna is happy. And they cook so that they can offer it to Krishna. They dress nicely so that if Krishna sees me, he feels happy. And I was listening to a lecture, maybe you can also look it up on YouTube, of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. The lecture is entitled Making the Heart a Better Place. It's in the Chowpatty Temple, very nice lecture. And Radhanath Maharaj there describes how the gopis used to compete and they used to dress even more nicely. Not because to look beautiful for themselves, but like Krishna will be happy, you know. So this is the spiritual world. For us, it's so difficult to fathom this, you know, because sometimes we can dress the deities, and we can dress the deities because, you know, I'm the pujari, and then everybody will know I dress the deity, so I should, you know, level up and keep a standard, you know, a label that, okay, this person dressed, so it should be that good. Or if I cook, then I feel like I cook nicely, then everybody will know that, okay, this person cooked, so it's my signature style. So like this, we make everything with us in the center. But in the spiritual world, it's entirely opposite. Even if they fight for Krishna. And they don't fight out of envy, actually. They fight out of their love for Krishna. So in a way, it's very difficult for us to comprehend, but this is the beauty of the spiritual world. Everything is so Krishna conscious. And in a way, this is what it means to be fully Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada here in this purport, time and again, he is reminding us how Krishna is our best friend. And you know, sometimes we can just throw it around like confetti, like, oh yeah, Krishna is our best friend. But it's a very deep, meaningful thing to realize that Krishna is our best friend. And you know, what is the test of a relationship? Any guesses? What is the test of a relationship? Difficulties. You know, difficulties are a test of relationships. So for example, if you have some difficulty and the relationship breaks, you just know that, okay, this was not so deep. But if you have some difficulties, but you still make your way around it, that means it was a strong relationship, or you are willing to work on the relationship. And similarly, our relationship with Krishna, it's also, of course, based on bliss. But that bliss may also come from difficulties. So when we are in difficult circumstances, you know, like at least I can say my experience, like for the past year, I had this whole idea of how things should go, and yeah, a lot of difficulties came, a lot of changes came, and I was thinking, wow, I mean, you know, sometimes you're so much in fear that you don't lose yourself, you don't lose devotional service. So many anxieties were there, and you were just feeling, I was just feeling so torn apart and feeling so restless and helpless. And I told so many devotees, I'm feeling so restless about it, and so many things are happening. But you know why it was happening? Because I forgot that Krishna is in charge, and I forgot that if I have faith, if I simply say to Krishna that I believe in you, he will never disappoint me. It's as simple as that. But the difficulty is not on Krishna's part, it's in our part. That sometimes our faith is not really fixed on Krishna. We kind of want to do half and half. And once I heard this analogy from Sripad Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and it's a very beautiful analogy, you can even meditate on this. Two analogies actually. A father takes a child to a park to play. And when the father takes the child to a park, it's broad daylight and the child is busy, you know. The father sits on the bench and the child is busy playing around. And the child is making friends, fighting, throwing things, making a castle out of mud and everything. And then sunset happens and it begins to get dark. And gradually, one by one, all the friends leave. And then all the friends leave. And when that happens, the child remembers, oh, my father is waiting. No, actually first the child begins to panic. Oh, I'm alone. I have nobody. There's nobody around and it's getting dark. And then what happens? He remembers, oh, I have my father. And then he starts calling out, Daddy, Daddy, where are you? And the father comes, he said, so you're done? He says, yes. He holds his hand and takes him home, let's go home. So that's our relationship with Krishna also. You know, we are in this material world fighting, making things, making houses. But gradually everything will go, everyone will leave. And who are we left with? The super soul. That's it. Who are we left with? Only with Krishna. And death is the real difficulty, death is the real test. And we have to work in such a way that at the time of death, we remember to call Daddy, Daddy, where are you? Which is Krishna, Krishna, where are you? And it is in chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Antakale, you know, Antakale, it's basically to remember Krishna at the time of death. That is the most significant. And the whole life is actually a lifetime of preparation. So some, you know, like there is this Ravi Shankar, Sri Ravi Shankar says, or they have the art of living. But in Krishna consciousness, in ISKCON, we teach the art of dying. That is more important, the art of dying. And another very beautiful analogy is, you know, when you are in difficulty, you can, because it really helps me, because I really think of it. I think of this analogy when something is difficult. That, you know, you remember, you can imagine at some point we were like 7, 8 months old or 9 months old. And then our father or mother would really swing us in the air, you know, like we do with kids, no? It's fun. So when we are up there, then I'm anxious, the child is anxious, like, oh, I'm up here, and it's really, you know, then it's free falling. And when it's coming down, it becomes really anxious because it's going to fall. And just when it's coming down, the father catches. The father doesn't let the child fall. And similarly is our experience with Krishna also. In difficulties, we feel very anxious. Oh, what will happen? But have faith, Krishna will never disappoint. But it is said, Patigyatava Govinda Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Krishna promises. Actually, Krishna makes Arjun promise, because he can break his promise. But if the devotee makes the promise, Krishna upholds the promise. So he makes Arjuna promise that I will always protect my devotees. But also Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that his reciprocation is in line with how much we surrender. I will fulfill, or I will make up for where there is a lack. I will preserve what you have, and I will make up for what you lack. That's Krishna's promise. And that's the promise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the promise of Jagannath. the Lord of the universe, on whom the whole universe exists. So therefore this purport is very beautiful actually. If you meditate, it's a very nice daily meditation we can have, a life lesson we can have. How to really depend on Krishna fully. And it's not easy, I can tell you. But the more we practice, it's like stretching. The more you stretch, the more flexible you become. The more you practice, the more you learn, more faithful you become towards Krishna. And once Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj was, I asked him a question and he gave an answer which was very nice. No, he actually just described, why does Krishna put us in test again and again? Because once you tested my faith and I believed in you, that should be enough, right? But devotees, they go through tests again and again and again. Why? Because Krishna increases their faith more and more and more. Krishna proves their faith again and again and again. So first it's a matter of quantity and then it becomes a matter of quality. So this process of Krishna consciousness is very nice. And this best friend that we have, Paramatma, is all we actually have with us in our existence. And this Paramatma manifested without, as we discussed, is the spiritual master. And even if you are not initiated, Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master. So really treat him as your best friend. You know, you can, Prabhupada's, we are very blessed to have Srila Prabhupada's museum here. You can spend time with him, read with him, you can speak with him, you know. Because the deity is not different actually from the personality. And the deity, the more faith you have, that much revelation will be there. So if you really speak with Srila Prabhupada and if you really connect with him, you know, because he is a manifestation of Krishna in our life, Shri Krishna Kripamurti. So the more we let Prabhupada consume our whole life, the more we will be blessed by Krishna. So with that, I think we could conclude our very nice discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam and carry home or carry in our heart this message of really depending on Krishna and meditate on the story, for example, of Gopakumar. Yeah. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Any questions, comments? Yes, Shainanand.
I have a question because you said or you quoted something about the simple life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always like a simple living, high thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What I've encountered is simple doesn't mean easy.
No.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe explain something about the simple or what does it mean exactly for us, or what should be for us?
Yeah, very nice question. Actually, for us as devotees, as Gauriya Vaishnavas, simple, when we say simple or simplicity, it means simplicity of the heart. You know, not just external, but it's actually Krishna consciousness as a whole process is a matter of the heart. It's inside, you know. So even with simplicity, because Prabhupada was heavily criticized sometimes because he was a guru, you know, and he was sannyasi, but he used to travel in expensive cars. What kind of simplicity is that? And then he used to preach that high thinking, simple living. Then someone can really very much say that how is it possible? It's like a very hypocritical thing. But as Prabhupada Nugas, or as devotees of ISKCON and being under the lineage and tutelage of Srila Prabhupada, we realize actually this simplicity is actually simplicity of the heart. And of course Prabhupada also wanted farm projects. He wanted also that we... And you see, the problem is that our surroundings, we are conditioned by our surroundings. You know, they still affect us. And therefore, if we have simple surroundings, we become simple. But then, if you are a kind of person who has been, you know, a city dweller, it will be difficult. Because you have to change certain traits of your personality too. And therefore, simple may not necessarily mean easy, but it also necessarily does not mean hard. It's also a question of your nature. And for some devotees, they are naturally city people, you know. But does that mean they are not simple? No. Simplicity is a matter of the heart. And what does it mean? Simplicity is actually very much connected to cleanliness of the heart. And there is said there are 6 Lobh, Mad, Matsarya, there are 6 enemies of the heart, There are knots in the heart, Prabhupada says. And the more you simplify your heart, the more it goes away. So a simple heart or a soft heart, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, is very conducive to developing rati or attachment to Krishna. So basically our aim is not to live simply, our aim is to love Krishna. So simplicity helps us to love Krishna. And this prospect of simplicity, because one can feel very discouraged, if we go to a congregation devotees and we say, oh, but you're living in a city, you're living at home, what is this? No, but simplicity is a matter of the heart. That if we have a simple heart, that we are not envious towards devotees, and when we serve, we try to do it in an honest way. We put our best in the service, and we offer the results to our spiritual master, and we do it for Krishna's interest and not our interest. So these are simplicity, cleaning the mirror of the heart. Simplicity also means to chant nicely. So that's why simplicity can be both external and internal. So this is internal simplicity. External simplicity is farm life, not possessing too much. And depending on your nature and also depending on your attachment style, it can differ. Because if I'm a person who is attached to having material opulences, it will be difficult. But if I'm a person who realizes, but the most beautiful aspect is, there are 2 things. Knowledge automatically leads to renunciation. Because if you're properly situated in knowledge, from jnana comes vairagya. So you will naturally want to lead a simple life. And you can choose your degree of simplicity. I don't think a third person has to define what is simple for you, because it's really, we have to be introspective. And second is that our process of Krishna consciousness is a process of dovetailing. Dovetailing means what? That whatever you have, you work with it. You work to make it Krishna conscious. Like for example, let's say if somebody has a desire to get married, we don't say don't get married. You said, yeah, you get married, but you have a Krishna conscious marriage, So everything can be dovetailed. And if we see we are people who are naturally inclined to simple life, simple living, we are naturally having these tendencies to renounce, then it's very easy. But if we have difficulties, then what does it mean? I just shut up everything and that's it? I become frustrated? No. I work with what I have. So the most important is this internal intention of simplicity. I don't know if that answers your question.
It's completely whole.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other question or comment? Yes, Mataji. Your good name, please?
Leena.
Leena, yes. Hare Krishna.
What are the 6 enemies of the heart?
Yeah. I remember the Sanskrit. That's the thing, when you don't repeat a few things, then you tend to forget. Moha, Maya, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. It's greed, envy, anger, pride, lust, and illusion, I think. Yeah. These are the 6 enemies. Yeah. Very nice question. Any other question or comment?
Thank you very much for the story about the boy in the playground.
Yeah, it's very nice, huh? Yeah. I found it very relatable. Yeah. Yeah, these are the things when we have these, they help us actually. Then you actually realize why is this analogy of Puranjana so nice. Because that's what Prachina Barhi is also listening to a story and he also thinks it's very nice. And he meditates on it and he uses it in his life, So, like that. Okay, thank you very much for your presence and attendance. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada. So do you think you can do it?
Yes, session.
Yeah, the only thing you have to be like here. It would be nice that it covers the pillars, but also that it doesn't go too much on the side. We can put some cloth in it because of the bare seat, and then we can make. We can also help. We can make if you don't have time, of course. Like something that would look like more on here, over some paper or something we can think of.
Yes, we have to take measurements.
Whenever you want. You can also ask Devi if what? She wants to take measurements. Yeah. I mean, Gokula is on the order tomorrow. He's the best person for measurements. You can describe him what you want measurements for, and he can take it for you. And he's very precise, so he's the best person. And he's doing Shila Puja tomorrow. So if you tell him today, he can take it tomorrow. And then we can store Giriraj. I mean, Giridhari. Giridhari. We can store him for whenever there is. If someone wants again for Govardhan Puja, he can be always.
Yes, actually, I also thought it would be nice to paint on a kind of wood, but it's not like massive, but this very
thin. You can ask Gokula because he knows those things.
Yeah, I also was working with that a lot. So good.
I will make cows, and maybe I will send you pictures. I have with this book. They have cowherd boys which are also drawn. So I will send you what I have. Because I bought it. It's like altar for kids. And I bought it because I found it so nice. And then I decorate my altar with it. And you have cows, peacocks, monkeys, cowherd boys, gopis, everyone is there.
It's really nice idea.
Yeah, usually some temples I saw it, but different. Some made him like a sculpture, and it wouldn't fit here like a sculpture. It would be nice.
So Krishna would be just the size of the pillar?
Yeah, until his finger can come until the and then somewhere here the gourd on this side. And if you have some more ideas, feel free to share.
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Sadigaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Sadigaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Jagannath Swami. Shila Prabhupada, Jagte Kiris Blümchen, ich will Blümchen, ich möchte dir geben. Shila Prabhupada, lass mich dir einfach mal dienen, lass mich dir einfach mal dienen. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Prabhupada. Gauranga Nityananda, Gauranga Nityananda. Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jagannath Chaturthi Jai Sudhara Jai. Jai Jai Bhishma Vishnu Plasmi Hari Plasmi Hari Nanda Plasmi. Bitte lass mich auf die Mühe bei mir, wenn ich Bhakti Yoga nachzuschneiden. Das ist nicht wahrscheinlich für eine liebevolle Guru, die Freunde finden. Das ist nämlich alles klingt einfach, deswegen sagt man das dann zu Jagannath zurückgehen. Hare Krishna. Ja, sorry.
Mm.